could be, because just getting the nerves out there as a goaler, you've got to pop the shots up, you've got to try and get the blinking the ball down to your shooting end. Generally, first match, a lot of turnovers and everything, but great steady shot by Susan Prattley there, first of the match.
He shot 79% last year and has 35 games behind her and finds herself unexpectedly one of the more experienced players.
Well, Megan Anderson obviously went overseas to play in New Zealand, so she's stepped in nicely there.
Nice settler for Caitlin Thwaites, who's just had 16 games at this level and shot 81% last year. So at that conversion rate, if they get enough possession, they'll be in this match. And a moment for Leah Short getting her first goal in the National League.
And you know, she'd be proud of this moment. I remember my first match, and certainly getting out there and hitting your first shot is always a really positive step for you.
What, 10 years ago?
Yeah, 10 years ago.
Okay. Nash looking for Booth. And contact against Gerard. I do get a sense it's a little bit tentative out there, Eloise. The teamwork, is going to build across the season. It's not there now, but Strawn plucks one out of the air.
Fantastic defence there by Rebecca Strawn, coming through for that intercept. She read it well, came out early, and outside the goal circle.
Nice split from Thwaites.
Fantastic long shot there, over halfway out, and she's got to do that all night tonight, be a force for Melbourne Kestrels in the goal circle.
So Kestrels have made a bright start. 3-2 up with this possession for a 2-goal lead. Booth. Nice touch from Gerard. She's still got plenty of elevation.
She has. It looks like she's getting up there, which is fantastic.
Wilson onto Ware. Kimberly Green.
Contact, yeah. Oh, Nikki, not really sure. Nikki Boyd there, the umpire, making the call of contact.
Well, something to do with the goalpost as well.
Well, I suppose, yeah, not be using the goalpost then.
Obstruction against Strawn, so a little bit scrappy here. Started to make the point before. I think we can logically expect a fair few turnovers in this first match. So the Swifts level it up after 3.5 minutes. Green to Ware.
One thing Kestrels have to do tonight is really capitalise on their turnovers. It's something I spoke to their co-captain Chelsea Nash about during the week, and certainly that was one thing they were working on. So we're going to look out for that tonight.
And Lensberg.
Well, contact. I'm not sure about that, but certainly I would have called a contact on that rather than a stepping.
Where? And Prattley puts a nice move along the baseline past Garbutt. I just wonder when we're going to see Janine Illich. Obviously not until there's an injury or a change of quarter.
Obviously Janine's living in Canberra, so she may not have trained as much with the team, and that's why she may be starting on the bench.
Another nice shot from Thwaites, who is 3 from 3. In fact, the Kestrels have not missed. They're 4 from 4, as are the Swifts.
And that's why you want to start a match, Steve. You want to have good shooting percentages, because nice and confident, and you can just then ease into the game and take the longer shots and feel really confident about yourself.
So no Catherine Cox, because she's recently had jaw surgery. So this will be the only game she misses if all goes well.
Yeah, well, the surgery was successful. The only thing is she just couldn't play contact sport today or this week.
Now, this is an area of the court that the Swifts cannot afford an injury, and they've got one to Susan Prattley as Sean Mungavan comes out. She might have just rolled the ankle. Or...
I think it is an ankle injury. She stepped on Rebecca Strawn's foot and just rolled it.
It's one of the more common injuries, especially in the circle, where 4 players in a fairly crowded area. It's all too easy to step on an opponent's or a teammate's foot, for that matter, and roll the ankle. And I think she's going to be all right. She doesn't look desperately distressed.
I think Sean, the physio, will actually put a bit more strapping tape on or something like that, just to actually keep it a lot stable. And there we go. This
is how it happens. Just watch the feet. And
Oh.
Almost did it twice.
Yeah, she sort of stood on the foot and then actually rolled it herself.
Yeah.
Oh.
And
ouch.
Yeah, and then twisted on the floor on top of that. So.
Look, I don't think it's a big injury. I think she'll be able to get back up and keep playing on. But, you know, certainly the strapping tape adds just stability to the ankle, and it'll make her feel nice and tight in there, and she'll probably be a bit sore tomorrow, I'd say.
And importantly for the Swifts, they wanted to get through the match here, and she's running out of seconds, 2 minutes. Put the sock and shoe back on. The manager usually comes out with a stopwatch and keep an eye on it because they know that the umpires will.
Certainly. They're on to it, Steve. Throwing.
5 minutes gone in this Kestrels Swifts match in Melbourne, and nothing between them. 4 apiece. Booth. Van Rensburg. Thwaites works to the front of Ellis. I think Liz Ellis has got worked out that Caitlin always likes to have a little fake with the first move.
Well, Lizzie's one of the best defenders going around, and let me tell you, she will keep changing all night on her defensive tactics to try and put you off. She might hold some, she'll jump some, and obviously she'll give a little fake and then try and have a go at it. But, you know, before her knee injury, great elevation, and obviously we'll just see if she's still got it tonight.
Playing game number 145, Liz Ellis. She tries to keep Thwaites out of the circle. Possession still with the Kestrels, though. Booth. Really made after the contact. Booth was making sure that the umpire made the call her way. She wasn't chasing that ball. It was so obvious, I'm not even going to try and catch it. But it's a turnover nonetheless, and back again. And Gilsonen called for the contact this time.
Take to the wing.
And Rensburg.
My heart just went in my mouth then when Monia Gerard fell over, and obviously just wanting these two Swift defenders to get through the match. Great shooting by Andrea Booth, though, standing up there and delivering.
Swifts won both encounters last year by 19, 58-39 and 60-41 in rounds 3 and 7. They played the Kestrels both times in the first half of the competition, which was slight oddness about the draw. Nash. Booth. Well-flighted ball. Oh, gosh, that's well taken by Thwaites in the end. She's got the height in that circle. She's the tallest player there. Still the Kestrels by 2. Short. Prattley looks to be moving okay on the ankle she injured just moments ago. Gilsonen. Oh, too quick. Kimberly Green. That's fallen all right to Short. A touch of Nat Avellino about that pass.
It was the no-look away pass. The Avellino special it was.
Well, somebody's got to be looking to catch it.
Well, they're probably not the percentage pass. Let's put it that way.
Well, Kimberly Green is a very talented mid-quarter, and I think you're going to see a lot more of her in years to come as she has that one knocked away from her by Van Rensburg, and Thwaites onto Nash. It's a little bit harum-scarum, but they've got it down to the circle.
And that's what you find in opening round, a bit of out-of-controlness, if that's such a word. But, you know, you've got all this going through your system, that you've done all this practice, and you want to get out there, and then all of a sudden it just goes everywhere and out of control. So that is part of their game, is to slow it down and use the ball effectively.
8-6 to the Kestrels, 6.5 left in the first quarter. Ware looking for Short, good back up from Green. And fairly clear instructions being given to Narelle Garbutt about she knew she was well beaten there, and it was an open player at the post, and I think she'd call that a professional foul.
I think you'd call that a smart defender. She's obviously she knew the ball was going to go under the post, so she thought, well, I'm going to have a crack here, and Obviously, yeah, Nikki Boyd told her in no uncertain terms, do not do that again.
Thwaites. Out it comes. Ellis has this one. And the contact is actually against Booth. So away come the Swifts once more. Ware. And the early perfect shooting has just dropped off a little, particularly for the Kestrels, who are now 8 from 11. Green into Prattley.
Great movement there by Prattley. She just dodged and kept moving, kept repositioning to get the ball, so well done.
Ware back to Gerard. Close in on her, but it's freed up for Green. Top of the circle looking for Prattley. Finds her. Gets the shot away in time. She nearly fell out the back. And the Swifts have hit the front. Well, trailing by 2 just moments ago. Thwaites gets the move on Ellis. Slapped away by Gilson and rounded up by Ware and picked up in turn by Short.
Fantastic chase there. That's something we would call at the Phoenix when I used to play a 1%er, and they really count in a match. You run and chase after every loose ball, and it gives you these turnovers that really can count in a match.
And Prattley delivers at the other end, so that's a great turnover, well converted, and Narelle Garbutt is calling time.
I think she may have hit her hand.
Well, certainly feeling a little bit hurt on the scoreboard after being up 8-6 and now down 10-8. So the Swifts have scored the last 4. And the Kestrels shooting has just dropped a little, Eloise, 73 to the Swifts 100%.
Well, I'm very, very impressed with the shooting percentages, obviously, of the Sydney Swifts. The lineup there is very young, but they have really settled into the match. They're working it around, and it's a little bit of razzle-dazzle, really. It's really quick play, but as long as they're not throwing it away, then it's effective. I think you've only got to have concern if they were intercepting it.
We've got the situation where the Swifts have had one fewer attempt, but are leading it by 2, courtesy of 100% shooting. So 4 from 4 for Leah Short, playing her first game, remember. And Susan Prattley, 6 from 6. Garbutt's okay.
She just got a bit of finger tape there wrapped around.
Four and a half minutes to go in the first quarter, and the Swifts have hit the lead. Trailed for the early going in this first term. Ware to Green. And she's called for the contact on Leah Van Rensburg, who I think knew it was coming. She was up the court in a flash, even before the umpire had explained the call.
Possess, contact, goal attack.
Contact against Short. Kestrels gradually working it down court. Garbutt waits. And Gilson in there.
The Sydney Swifts are really playing a good defence, and they've got nowhere to go in there.
I'm just detecting a bit of an edge established by Gerard, Gilson and Green over their opponents. There's a bit of a battle going on in the mid-court that the Swifts seem to be winning in the last 2 or 3 minutes. Well,
they're putting a wall defence on the transverse line at the centre, and it's making it very hard for the Kestrels to get through. And now again a contact there by Caitlin Thwaites on Liz Ellen.
Can't believe the call. She thought she was going to get the benefit of it. Not so. Green. And over the head of Gerard. So both teams, as we've said, are going to throw away a little bit of possession in the first round or two as they find their rhythm. Booth. Nash. And as you sometimes do after you've given up a turnover, you give up another one in frustration. Not a turnover, just a penalty against Green. Thwaites. Better shot.
Yeah, she had to sink that one just to, settle the line up down there and make sure that they capitalised on the turnover.
Kimberly Green has had 6 turnovers. Well, I usually had a couple, but that hurts. I don't know if the coach is going to say anything at quarter time to Kimberly about just settle it down. You look after that possession. Of course, a centre is someone who handles the ball a fair bit more than some other players.
Well, they do. They're really the linking player between attack and defence. They often do you know, 3 or 4 passes down the court, helping out in the defence and bringing it out, and then obviously into attack. So it is important that they don't throw the ball away or make turnovers. They really are a key to the whole game.
Booth, Gerard leaping in diagonally, but not legally. And Booth is 5 from 7. We're inside the last 2 minutes of the first quarter, and it's a nice tight go. The Kestrels have got possession here to level it again. They dropped a couple of goals behind. We're up early. And Monia Gerard, effortlessly, almost arrogantly, with a one-handed pass on.
Kestrels will be disappointed with that. That pass was far too readable, and that's why Monia was able to come out and take the intercept.
Where? Short. Oh, nice touch from Strawn, but Short was awake and rattles one through. And this debutant has still to miss an attempt.
It's fantastic.
What a
she's
great
not
start.
really that tall in height comparison to everyone else on the court. She's fairly short, so she's playing really well in her first match.
Short coming in at 173 centimetres. Not tall by Southby Halby standards. Maybe 183.
Yeah, 180, about 186 actually. Right. Give yourself a few extra centimetres there.
You got the heels on. Garbutt. Strawn really struggling to break down this Swifts defence across the middle.
Yeah, quite a bit of a floating defence there. So looking after the space around them and also looking after their players. So they're doing it very well through the middle.
And across to one-on-one in the zone defence. Is that a fair description? Floating. You're
floating in a space. You've got to keep an eye on your player, make sure they don't come in contact with the ball, but obviously sort of go hunting for an intercept. So come away and look at it all and see if you can come through for the intercept.
And there we go. One right on the whistle for the Kestrels, and they are well in touch with the Swifts. In fact, led it for much of the quarter before the Swifts forged ahead, but it is the Swifts at the first break who lead the Kestrels 12-11. And Susan Prattley forced away into the Australian team, coming to the Swifts from the Darters, played a role in the Commonwealth Games and has played a role in this first quarter with 6 from 6, otherwise.
No, certainly. I would only say about Susan Prattley is she shot very well, but she's got to keep presenting. And I know it's hard to do all the time. And she did quieten up a bit in the last bit of that quarter, and I think maybe it was because she did roll her ankle, and maybe she's thinking about that more than actually getting out there and playing.
So it's interesting that they've scored 12 goals, and if you'd said at the start of the match that Short is going to score half their goals in the first quarter, you go, oh, that would surprise me if that turned out to be. But I think, with Prattley having that ankle injury and Short feeling quite at ease out there, it's interesting that here we are at 12 from 12, Short and Prattley 6 each.
Well, it's good because you know what? When you've got 2 goalers that are quite even, it's very hard to defend. You can't double team them. You've got to have someone on each player.
Let's have a look at some statistics out of the first quarter.
And obviously you can see the Sydney Swifts have given away a lot of penalties in the first quarter, but they've really probably got to make sure they just capitalise on turnovers. They're going in hard, and if they get those intercepts, that's fantastic. Rebounds quite even. Obviously turnovers again to the Swifts. I said that in the start of the game. Chelsea Nash has said to me, their captain of Kestrels, we've got to actually make sure we capitalise on all the turnovers, and that's something they've just got to do this quarter. Intercepts fairly even, and attempts at goal only 2 in it. And obviously, the telling factor is the goaling percentage, 100% at the moment to Sydney Swifts. That's the telling factor.
It often is. You can win games with less attempts, providing you shoot a high percentage, and that's what the Swifts are doing at the moment with a couple of very young goalers out there. Well, I wonder how the Kestrels are feeling and how Sam Dennis has been analysing that first quarter. Sam, what have you seen? What do you like?
Well, the mood down here on the Kestrels bench is exciting, and why shouldn't it be? Look, the score's really close. I think they're going to really in with it for this quarter. Just depends. They've got to capitalise on all the mistakes, really. Anyone's game still.
Anyone's game indeed, as
you have a look at
Prattley and Strawn are
having a little giggle.
Yeah, they know each other well enough.
I think Strawny's gone, how's your ankle? I'm going to make you go that way.
You don't, do you?
Oh, Lizzie and I used to have a lot to say to each other during matches.
Start of the second quarter, and Kestrels anxious to keep in touch with the Swifts. And Brooke Thompson is still there at goal defence. Garbutt is off. Brooke Thompson from wing defence back to goal defence. Yeah, and the new wing defence is Bryony Cargill. So just a little defensive shift for Kestrels. Straw nearly got two hands to that.
Well, she came out well. She's got very good timing, Rebecca Strawn, on the shot, on the jump, and also coming out for those intercepts long court.
Contact, goal defence.
So still no Janine Illich out there, and she's only going to play 5 games. This is a pretty big call from Jane Sell, unless there, it could well be something we don't know about with whether Janine's feeling 100%.
Yeah, well, I presume if she's come down for the match, she's going to be well enough to play. And look, maybe Jane is just putting the confidence in the players that have trained the whole pre-season with them. I mean, Janine had Commonwealth Games commitments, so she's probably using the other girls first just to give them a run and see how they go.
So there is Janine, mother of 2 these days, so that is limiting her commitment, especially with husband's work in Canberra. That's where they are based, Van Rensburg. And the Kestrels goal is having to work very hard to establish any kind of position. And with that kind of bump from Gerard, out it comes, and it's off the back of Liz Ellis into the hands of Monia Gerard. It hung up there for an age, yeah. That is really quite unusual. We've got another player down now, and this might be more serious. I didn't like the look of that one, and it's Vanessa Ware.
She's in a fair bit of pain there.
Yeah. And what she's done. Sean Mungavan is there very quickly.
Well, they were going for a contest here. Bryony Cargill came through.
It's another ankle. She rolled her ankle.
Rolled her ankle on the landing.
Watch the right ankle. And it's the same way as she's come down on the same space as her opponent's foot.
And her ankle, when it did roll, it hit the ground. So that's actually, you'd say pretty much ligaments. She's probably strained there and quite sore and tender.
Yeah, 20th game for Vanessa, who's able inside the circle as well as out.
There's going to be a change made here. I'm sure Vanessa won't be able to get back on the court. Sean's helping her from the sidelines now.
So, Joe Sutton to centre and Green to wing attack. That's the change. So Kimberly Green forward in the line-up to wing attack. We're out with the ankle injury. So they've been a bit unlucky in the first quarter and a bit, the Swifts. Sutton out of the Darters, of course, picked up by the Swifts. Wilson, Sutton, Gerard. And the Kestrels look like they've steeled their defence somewhat.
Much better hands over pressure and tight one-on-one defence there from the Kestrels. It caused a turnover, and this is what I said, they've got to capitalise on their turnovers.
Well, they need the goals to go as well. And that shooting percentage has dropped to 65 for the Kestrels. Not going to win you too many matches. It's 17 shots to 14. But trail by 3. Prattley. She's uncomfortable right now. Vanessa Ware. Gerard. Prattley. Good position taken up by Strawn, as you'd expect, and had the height on short as well to be sure of the rebound. Thwaites. Come on, you're arriving a bit late there.
And it's just a little bit of timing there. Coming back from an injury, and obviously the pre-season, just working out the timing of when to have a go and when to pull out of those contacts. And unfortunately there, Mon made the choice. She ran through her opponent and got the contact. Great shooting, though, by Andy Booth to sink that after a hard knock.
So James Searle will be a little bit concerned about this margin. They've got to keep in touch with the Swifts, keep the pressure on. Down by 1 at quarter time. Booth. Thwaites. Booth backs up. Penalties are going to start to build. 9 against Monya Gerard. She's got the most of any player on court.
Well, that can either say two things. Either she's having a good crack at everything that comes her way and, just missing it and causing a bit of a contact. Or as coming back from injury, she's just her timing's out. So
Thwaites.
I'd probably say it's more the timing.
Ellis did well to block the pass, but it's a Kestrels possession. Get back within 1. Nash. Nice take from Booth. An obstruction against Gerard. Booth 9 from 13. Thwaites 5 from 7. So Andrea Booth doing a majority of the goaling. Ooh, second call, I think, against Thwaites for the game, or third penalty overall.
I think the umpires are just looking, if you sort of push back and push your backside into the defender's belly, then they're going to call that as a contact. You've got to stand upright and hold your position. Get the weight forward on your toes.
Not an easy thing to see. A lot of that stuff goes on around the edge of the circle too, people pushing each other.
And yeah, that's what you give and take a little bit. You push it, you give it back. So, I mean, you're just trying to manoeuvre into position. So there's sneaky ways to do it and not get caught, Steve.
Green doesn't quite get the ball back from Gerard. So the Kestrels have this chance. Strawn, Thompson and Nash. Under 9 minutes left in the second quarter. Kestrels only trailing by 2. I think despite the absence of Broadbent and Cox, the general feeling was that we maybe slightly favour the experience of the Swifts. You can see a bookies market for this match, but the chat would be that the Swifts would be slightly favoured.
Well, especially with their two defenders coming back, their experience. Susan Prattley obviously had Commonwealth Games experience this year, so they've got a good team, even though some of their stars are missing. And as I said, Kestrels, they've really talked it up. They want to be one of the top teams in the competition. This is the night to prove and put your hand up this year that, yep, we can do it.
Contact against Booth, so a Swifts possession, and 1 is their lead. Almost halfway through the second quarter. Short. A bit quieter in this second quarter. Just 2 attempts, but she's got them both. Swifts still at 16 from 17, Eloise. That's a terrific return in game 1.
Phenomenal shooting statistics. To come out in your first game, obviously, and, for the season, it's a big game. You're playing against a top 4 team from last year. And to put those shots up and put them in, it's really good start to the season.
Ellis gave Booth the bump, and she converts. So they're back on level terms, the Kestrels. Seven to go in the second quarter, 16 apiece. A little bit of to and fro here in the second period, with the Swifts looking like they might walk away with a decent margin by half-time, but the Kestrels pegging them back. Sutton. Prattley. Sprawn smiles at the umpire.
And I think the move from the Kestrels putting Brooke Thompson into the goal circle against Leah Shroud, who's the new kid on the block, so to speak, I think that's been a good move. She's really making her work hard, and she hasn't got as many possessions to take the shot this quarter.
Swifts with a chance to build something here. They've got the turnover. Loose pass picked up by Ellis, and away they come. So Sutton, Gerard. Both sides working very hard in defence to make it tough to bring the ball up the court. Prattley to the corner. Sutton. And through the defenders. Maybe the eyes just dropped a second, and the feeder saw it. And Prattley said, thank you, well played.
It was nice quick play there, and Prattley opened up the circle, kept moving, and called for it over once the defender's eyes went down.
Short to Green. Prattley. Works her way back towards the post. And she is very reliable, Prattley.
11 from 12 at 92%. Fantastic starting statistic for her.
Thwaites. Nash. And Sutton. Just drifting in offside. Oh, gee, that had to be a perfect ball. And eventually got the foul out of Ellis. And Thwaites puts it away.
And that's one thing I said about Liz Ellis and her elevation from having the knee injury. It's probably just down slightly, and she'll work it up as we get through to in the middle of the season. I'm sure it'll be back to normal.
Kestrels. A lot of traffic on that transverse line, but they managed to clear it. Nash off to Booth. Thwaites. Terrific elevation from Ellis, but it'll be a Kestrels possession. Gee, Thwaites knows she's in a game. And in fact, it's called a timeout. I think she got a knock to the nose after that last duel with the Australian captain. Well,
one thing I am glad to see is Lizzie Ellis going in really hard for everything, and it is so good to have her back out on court. She's one of the world's best top players and best defenders. And, I just was hoping, I was sitting back at home the last week thinking, I just hope she comes out and has a fantastic year, because to be 33 and have a knee injury and knee surgery, and to make it back to the first game and to come out hard and not worry about it, just get out there and play, is fantastic.
I think Julie Fitzgerald could not have been more effusive in her praise for Liz Ellis's efforts through rehab the last 5 months. We were there when she went down in that test match against the Kiwis in Auckland. And Ellis is giving Caitlin Thwaites a hell of a time out there. Caitlin looking quite flushed and almost distressed. Here's the ball over. And a little elbow to the face.
I think that's actually a little cuddle.
You think?
Yeah, Lizzie's up there. Look, giving her a cuddle.
Yeah, it might have ended up that way, but it was across the bridge of the nose to start with.
Yeah, it was, and it would really make your eyes water, and as a shooter, you can't have that to see, can you?
No.
So, probably called the time just to compose herself, get herself right. They're a tight bunch, the Swifts, too. Having played them for many years, they just talk it up, and they're really confident out on court, and they're showing that tonight.
So they lost Ware to an ankle injury. Prattley's had one but continued. Kestrels have it. Trail by 2. 4:20 left in the second, but it'll be a Swifts possession, as Gerard and Ellis and Gilson particularly make life tough for the Kestrels. Oh, gee, his foot was nearly over the line here, but...
she's like a ballerina. Selena, she had her tiptoes on the line and made sure she didn't go out.
Selena the ballerina. There's got to be an opportunity there. Prattley. She's got a very confident shooting style, Susan.
You know what? When she turns to the post, and particularly in this match tonight, she doesn't look like missing. She's got the nice angle on the arm, the flick off at the end, and she's just feeling, nice and composed. She's talking it up there, encouraging her teammates as well, which also helps.
Wilson. Sutton. And Throwing for the Kestrels after it came out of the hands of Short in the corner. It was right on the edge, that pass. And the Kestrels need to look after these turnovers, and they don't.
Again, the Sydney Swifts are playing like a zone defence there, coming when it's a turnover, and just put so much pressure there, and they didn't look for another option. They tried to force it through two defenders.
What about this time as they get it back? Strawn, Cargill, on to Nash. Cargill again, Thwaites. I think that Bianca Franklin might get a look in the second half, just to challenge the thinking of the Swifts defenders.
Well, she's a different kind of player, and depending on who they switch on and off, you know, if Caitlin was to come off, it'd be two moving shooters, and that might be quite handy with the girls coming back from injury from the Swifts, just to get them moving, get them on their toes, and see if they can last the game.
Contact against Thompson. Short. Just her third attempt for the second quarter, but still on 100%. At 9 from 9. And 21 from 22 overall for the Swifts. They continue to impress at the scoring end. Booth.
Well, the way Short is going, is Coxie going to get a spot next week? Sorry, Coxie, she'll be watching, having a laugh at that.
I think she made the trip down here then. She's made it here.
Yeah, no, she is here tonight, encouraging her teammates, and particularly she's played a long time with Liz Ellis and Monia Gerard, so, you know, probably backing them up and supporting them for their first match back after serious injury.
Touch on that one from Brooke Thompson. So the possession stays with the Swifts. Green. Nice move put on by Pratley and read by Kimberly Green and finished well.
Now Susan Pratley there did a roll and then came back out of it and really opened up the circle there and presented well.
So a chance for a 5-goal lead here if the Swifts can look after this one. She comes back to Gilson. Through Gerard to Sutton. Just changing the angle of attack. Pratley. All the way back to Gerard. They're looking patient. Sutton again. Oh, Pratley worked the way to the front. They're screaming for it. Sutton and Pratley would have played a bit together with the Darters, of course.
Yeah, they would have a couple of years ago now.
Gerard.
What you'll see with the Sydney Swifts, Selena Gilson and Monia Gerard are certainly doing a lot of the workload in attack, bringing the ball down. Their young attackers are actually probably struggling over the transverse line, so the defenders are actually bringing the ball out and into their attacking.
Last half minute, first half. One that needed to go. And that's all there'll be in the second quarter, and the Swifts having had an early lead in the second quarter whittled away. The Kestrels getting back on level terms. It's now blown out to 5, and the runners-up last year are looking in pretty good nick at 23 to 18 at half-time. We'll be back in just a moment.
The Glass House on ABC2. Oh, sorry, I thought it was just voiceover. That would look weird, wouldn't it? And berries all around me.
Kestrels playing the Swifts. The Kestrels in a little bit of bother at 5 down at half-time. Let's hear from Coach Jane Searle with Sam Dennis.
So, Jane, how did you think the first half went?
Oh, look, I'm pretty disappointed actually with the score. It's like a first quarter score. I just think we need to get more mobility in our attack end. Missed goals are really hurting us in our attack end. I'm happy with the defence end. I think we've turned the ball over quite a bit now. Full court defensive pressure's okay, but I think they're really closing us down in our attack end, and we have to adjust there.
Thanks, Jane. Good luck for the second quarter.
I think James hit the nail on the head, and the shooting stats bear that out. But let's look at the stats to this point, Eloise.
Well, the penalties are fairly close. The only one main concern the Sydney Swifts would have, actually, is Monia Gerard with 12, leading the whole penalties across the board. Rebounds obviously quite even. Liz Ellis has taken the most on the court with 4, and that's the total for her team, so good work to Lizzie. Turnovers quite similar there, intercepts the same. Obviously the attempts to the difference, but the real telling factor, as Jane Searle just said, was actually the percentage. 69% is far too low to win a match at this level.
They started so well too, didn't they, the Kestrels? You get the feeling that Ellis, as she worked her way into the game, she and Monia Gerard likewise, who's also got that knee injury, of course, they started to work out the opposition. I just think they've adjusted well, and the Kestrels haven't been able to readjust to create more opportunities close enough to score.
Well, exactly. And look, at this level, it shouldn't matter where you shoot from. You've just got to score them. However you get them in there, you just got to put them through the hoop.
So Caitlin Thwaites is out there trying to do her best for the Melbourne Kestrels, and she shot 7 from 9. And what have you made of her first half?
Well, look, I'm a little concerned. She seems to go behind the player a lot. Now, on Liz Ellis, my first thing would be, on Liz, get in front or get her on the move. You can't stand there and ask for the ball over the top. 7 from 9 is probably not enough in terms of volume of shots, so she really needs to lift her volume up if she stays on in this quarter.
And her teammate Booth 11 from 17, but Liz Ellis has certainly let her know what it's all about at this level.
She has, and certainly it's great to see Lizzie out there. She's probably not at her best, but she's giving it her all, and it's fantastic to see her there.
Underway in the third quarter. Gilson to Green, and 23-18. And Janine Illich is on. That's the first thing to notice, and it doesn't take long to notice when Janine's out there.
No, exactly. She's got the go-go gadget arms, and that she comes out from anywhere and takes those intercepts.
So it's great to see her out there, Australian defender. And I'm pretty sure she's the only mother of 2 in the competition, but yeah, that's just a thought that just entered my head then, so I better check that up. But
I think she is now that Shelley O'Donnell has officially retired from the Kestrels lineup. But it's great to, you know, be out there as a mother. I think it's fantastic for our sport. We are the #1 women's sport in the country.
And also out there is Bianca Franklin. Prattley. That confident shot over the hand of Rebecca Storm, which might even have touched her on the way past. It didn't put her off. So the Swifts starting to build some momentum here. And the halftime hasn't upset them at all. Often does cause a momentum break. Let's see. The Swifts scoring the first 2 of the third. And maybe the first 3.
Prattley's playing very smart. She's getting on the move. As I said, after the first quarter, she has to get in front. She's got to move, reposition. She's got to be the brains in that attack end, and she's doing that.
So, long-range shot from Franklin. Thwaites has been rested at 7 from 9. And Madison Brown is on at wing attack for the Kestrels. And just going through, that's the only other change to bring you. Of course, Franklin at goal attack. Well put through by Short. 27-18, 4 blot to start the third quarter.
And the percentages are the telling factor. The Kestrels this quarter have to capitalise. They've got to put all the shots in that they get.
Extraordinary start. As the Kestrels are still in the sheds at half-time. The way the Swifts have come out here. Nash. And Nash is at centre big time, back from wing attack. And Van Rensburg is off.
The Kestrel shooters are actually just getting quite frustrated, I think, with themselves. What they're doing is when they go to take the shot, they're worrying too much about the defender's arm. They've just got to turn, be confident, and believe in themselves and pop the shot in. They do every day in practice.
Like Shord and Prattley are doing.
Exactly what the Swifts are doing right now.
And they are 29 from 30, the Swifts. And they've got this game quite quickly in the third quarter by the scruff of the neck.
Now, you know, obviously Kestrels there have probably called a time to settle things down. Bryony Cargill there's got looks like a leg injury, but not sure how bad that would be to really just to rustle the troops.
So for the Swifts, There was Susan Prattley rolling the right ankle. Fortunately for her, she was able to continue, but not so Vanessa Ware, whose ankle roll was a little more severe, and she is off the court. But all credit to the composure of this Swifts team. I tell you, you can really build something when you've got Gilson and Gerard and Ellis at the back, though.
Oh, certainly. They have been playing for years now together. And look, you step out with teammates like that and you feel very confident. You know where they're going to move. You know how to pass to them. You sort of just encourage one another to keep going. And that, you can just see they're very dominant there. And it's, you know, as I said, it's great to see them back out there and fit and raring to go. Kestrels, I reckon Jane Searle just then would have given them a rev up and said, that's not good enough. We have to shoot them and we have to get them in. And to keep persisting in defence to get those turnovers.
Sutton back to Gerard. Gilson.
Good pressure there, hands over by Maddie Brown, a young under-19 Victorian player. So great to see her out for the first time.
At wing attack for the Kestrels. And it was Cargill who picked up a turnover ball. Ellis after the disputed possession with Nash. Away come the Swifts again. They will be delighted if they come up with a victory here after their limited build-up. It's interesting to hear the coaches, Eloise, before the game, with Julie Fitzgerald conceding that their build-up was anything but what they wanted. They were very interrupted. But with Jane Searle saying they're quite happy with their pre-season. Prattley ensured they've only missed one between them. Well,
you know, with the Commonwealth Games being in March, it just caused a lot of the team's disruption. So they had all their Australian players out and obviously playing and training with them. But look, a lot of those Aussie players are regulars in lineups and they should easily just step back in and gel quite nicely.
And I think that's what we're seeing.
We are. I mean, the Swifts have just come together like they have, you know, haven't been apart for the last 4 weeks.
A different question, of course, for Ellis and Gerard, whose confidence on their reconstructed knees had to be sorted out.
Obviously, Lizzie and Mon would have come through their state league competition, had a couple of matches there and tried it out and see how they felt. So I'm sure that would have all went well, and then they decided to step up to the National League for them.
7-1 start to the third quarter for the Swifts. Booth up to Nash. Franklin has barely had a look in yet. None from one so far for Bianca Franklin.
Be a nice settling one for her. It's always good, as I said, to get in the match and to have a shot and it goes in and you start feeling confident, and hopefully she'll start moving around and getting a lot of the ball.
Village. Booth, Nash. Gilson right at the shoulder.
I don't think she knew what she was going to call then.
Well, Sutton seemed to know, even though the umpire called the wrong player.
Oh, that's a bit of a cheeky contact there.
Monia comes up smiling, so does Franklin. Green, almost Monia's saying, well, if that's the best you can do.
All right, I'll give one right back, let me tell you.
Illich. Cargill. Strawn. Franklin.
Just great defence there by Selena Gilson, and she covers the ground so well. As I said, she moves like a ballerina, and she's so light on her feet, which causes her to get up to so many balls and get so many tips.
Oh, Ellis.
Brilliant.
Superb. It's like she's never been away. 5 rebounds and 4 intercepts, I beg your pardon, for Liz Ellis. There's 9 possessions there.
Amazing.
That can swing a game.
It certainly can. Her and Monia are doing very well down in the defence end.
Yeah, they're back.
Which is scary for all the other teams, shall I say, when you say they're back.
With Cox and Broadbent still to add to their team. Green to Prattley. Turns, this time. And a miss to Prattley. And just the second one of the match. Nearly a replay there from Sutton. Short.
Where you are, goal attack. That's probably a silly contact there by Janine to give her a free shot. Janine's tall, got height over Short, and, you know, she certainly just needs to put the pressure over the shot rather than get the contact, silly contact like that.
Throwing advantage offside wing in the centre third.
Well, without spending about an hour going through the stats, historically, I just wonder how many players in their debut have played, you know, half a game on 100%, which is what Short has done, and then some. She's 12 from 12 now. As soon as you start to talk about it, they miss one, and I hope this isn't the one. And it's not. Oh, thank goodness. The commentator's curse is well known, but Short has had a mighty debut. And all power to her. They've also got Erin Bell on the bench, who's had a touch or three of Commonwealth Bank Trophy competition. So they can go to her if they want to, if they think they're far enough in front. And my goodness, they've had a third quarter here. They've scored 10-2 to put the Kestrels on the rack. Ellis.
The Kestrels are just really struggling to get it into that goal circle now. They brought it down the court nicely there, but they just couldn't find their shooters.
Pratley, obstruction against Illich.
No, where you were, goal defender, you're obstructed. Cut off pass.
So take that, Janine, where you were. And that'll still be a Swifts ball. So Vicky Boyd taking no nonsense.
Stamping her authority, making sure they understand who's boss, let me tell you.
Contact against Green, though. So eventually, Kestrels do come away with it, having been put firmly in their place. Nash into Booth. Oh, so short on that one. And Ellis with a bit of help from Gerard. Sutton.
That's contact and late. Bring it down. Bring it down.
And
Too late.
Vicky Boyd saying that was so late from Janine. I'm a little bit surprised. I was clumsy, but I don't know if it was deliberate.
No, look, I think it was just clumsy. And knowing Janine, it probably was. I don't think she deliberately wanted to do that. And Jane's not impressed, really, with that call, I wouldn't say.
Great athleticism from Gerard. It's come off the foot, unfortunately, of Janine Illich, who must be thinking, why did I come down to Canberra for this one? Pratley.
It's going in far too easy. They really need to try something different. Whether it's Janine dropping back and having sort of double team in the goal circle there in the defence of the Kestrels, or, you know, they're just getting them on the move and opening it up, and it's no pressure at all.
Just a few players perhaps struggling with self-belief in the Kestrels lineup here. They're just down by 16 now. It was 5 at half-time, and they are in trouble. And Franklin has called a timeout, and Julie Fitzgerald has got very much a winning smile on her face. She has got to be pleased, proud, and impressed, and a little surprised at how well it's going.
Well, with Julie, wouldn't you be rapt that you've got so many youngsters out there, you're blooding them? It's showing that they have got depth, and probably in the past, when the top teams have played against one another, maybe that's something that the Swifts didn't have. They couldn't go to their bench, but tonight has proved that they've got those options, and I think that's fantastic. Kestrels, on the other hand, really they have to dig deep here. It's now or never, and they've got to try and peg some back and get in it before three-quarter time.
A couple of seasons with the Darters for Bianca Franklin from Western Australia. The Orioles are probably a little disappointed. She's chosen not to head back to the West. But they're kind of used to having top players disappear on them. But, that doesn't mean they like it.
Yeah, she's moved back to Melbourne. Her family are here. Lance Franklin, her brother, plays for Hawthorn, and the whole family has moved here. So she's decided to come and live with them and have the support of her family.
Well, that's understandable.
They've made a change there for Kestrels. The goal is swapping, so Andy Booth coming out to goal attack. Bianca Franklin back at goal shooter.
Beveridge is back in the West for the Orioles, but Janelle Lawson and of course Susan Furman with the Darters from Western Australia. Booth now. And just their third goal of the quarter, and we've only got 4¼ minutes left. Till the last break. Sutton. Right there to the top of the circle for Green. Plenty of quick movement around that circle.
And beautiful finish off, I might add.
I have to say, the teamwork between Pratley and Short has been pretty impressive for a couple of players who wouldn't have known too much about each other before this season.
No, they wouldn't have. And even, you know, with Susan Pratley being at the Commonwealth Games, they wouldn't have had much time to sort of work it out. So it's just gelled together, obviously, in the last couple of weeks.
And another great turnover forged between Ellison and Gerard has got them to this position, with Short putting up another successful attempt. 15 from 15.
The Kestrels defenders, Janine's dropping back now. As I said before, just making sure that they double team. They try and do something else, and they've picked up a contact here.
Well, Pratley and Short, I think Southby, Halbish and McMahon would be happy with the stats that we've got out there at the moment for the Swifts.
I don't think I ever did that. It's amazing.
I think you went close a few times and with a few more attempts as well.
It's certainly not an opening round, though, Steve.
Nash.
Feel the Kestrels, the movement in that circle is far too stagnant. They're not getting those girls on the move. Very lucky there by Andy Booth to be given that next shot.
Both Gerard and Ellis were out, although Monia thought she might have been able to sneak in and defend. But Kate Wright had other ideas. Kestrels 4 for the quarter now. See if they can put a bit of a spurt on here in the last 2.5 minutes of the third. Franklin just shouldered out of the court, so she'll have this attempt. And she's 2 from 3.
But they've had 2 on the trot there, so that's good by the Kestrels. They're trying to get back into this game.
Sutton.
It's another critical turnover here. They've got to capitalise on this. The Kestrels need to work it in and be nice and steady.
Nash. He's made the most of the fact Selena Gilson were out of fall. And they just one down for second and managed to work it into the circle a little better.
Well, the quick play and quick hands across the circle then really opened it up for the shooters.
Illich working well up court. Franklin. Brown onto Booth. Oh, and Booth, a risky one over to Franklin, but they will get possession. I think they thought Ellis wasn't watching, but even when she's watching, she's seeing.
Exactly.
Oh. There's one of those little 1%ers you talk about. Gerard chasing something that others might not. For reasons only she knows.
Well, Mon's got a big heart, so she'll keep going to the end in order for her team to win.
Franklin. And the Kestrels have scored the last 4, so perhaps the Swifts have switched off a little and the Kestrels have strung a bit together here.
Netball's a great game because, you know, you can take those intercepts, you can get back into it quite quickly. The pace of the game's fast, but not if the Swifts keep shooting like that.
Oh, Pratley's impressive. Has been for a year or two, leading the Darters last year. And what a bonus for the Swifts, picking her up with Megan Anderson-Dean going across the Tasman to play in New Zealand's National League. Contact against Gilson. Last 10 seconds, third quarter, 14 the lead for the Swifts. Kestrels ball, I don't think they'll have enough time to put one through. Did it count? No, it does not. It does not count. A lovely shot. Oh, waved away by Kate Wright as no goal. So 39-25 it stays. And the Swifts have got a good hold on it, but some good signs there late from the Kestrels. It's the Swifts by 14 at three-quarter time. So Liz Ellis playing round 1. Who'd have thought it after ACL injury against New Zealand late last year, but she's done a mighty job to be not only just back, but playing at this level.
No, certainly. Look, she's a champion athlete and a champion person, and to have her back on court for us and for Australian netball is fantastic. And she's on her toes the whole time. She's worked very hard in the off-season. Even during the Commonwealth Games, she was down here for media commitments, and she came to the VIS gym, the Victorian Super Sport gym, and trained very well. So it's looking strong. She doesn't seem to be having any problems. She keeps moving quite nicely out there.
There's a bit of a stink about her having access to the team during the Commonwealth Games. What's that about?
Oh, that's just Liz making a story, isn't it?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
No, it's been fine, and she would get the information either way.
Yeah. So Jane Searle having a chat to the team.
She just needs that she'll run out of it, because that last 5 minutes we were much better. We've got 15 minutes left. Let's really show what we can do now. You've got to be straight. She's just bumping forward.
And it is a black ticket again, black 51. So all those prizes, please make your way up to the match of that fancy take your prizes.
She's still getting in over you. Now, she shouldn't be. In fact, she shouldn't be getting the ball over you at all. Ride her so tight. And then hand straight. Don't let her look at the post.
Let's have a look at some stats to three-quarter time.
Penalties. Obviously, the Sydney Swifts are going in hard for the ball, so they've picked up a few more penalties there. But it's probably intimidating the Kestrels lineup. Rebounds, obviously leading by the Swifts again. Turnovers, it's quite similar. Intercepts. Sydney Swifts leading double the amount there, and obviously, as I said before, the goaling percentage is the major concern for Melbourne Kestrels. They have to get the turnovers and they have to put the shots in.
All right, now, Sam Dennis, take that smile off your face. As a former Sydney Swift, you've got to be pleased, but just give us the unbiased perspective here.
Yeah, well, that was really a dream run for the Swifts. The defence end, you wouldn't think that Liz Ellis and Moni have just been out with knee surgery, and also Leah Short, her debut, magical. I think if the Kestrels really want to have a chance, they've got to dig deep this last quarter.
Oh, they absolutely do, Sam. Just about ready for the last quarter. The story of the second and third quarters is middle of the match, 11-7 and then 16-7 for the Swifts.
Story of the match, though, is 100% for a first gamer. Goal shooting short.
And she's still out there. We'll just stop talking about it for a while because I'm just dreading what we're going to do. Pratley. Susan Reliable, I think we could call her. Gee, I like the way, and as you pointed out, she turns so confidently to the post. There's a feeling that she's just, she's going to get 9 out of 10.
Well, she doesn't fiddle around with it, doing too many passes in and out. She just turns, puts it up.
Oh, Franklin misses what she really would feel herself she should have got. Green, Gerard. Barge in the middle between Cargill and Sutton. So, Kitchen, I beg your pardon. Melanie Kitchen's on at centre for the Kestrels. Change there. Illich and Strawn still in the defensive circle. Thwaites is back on at shooter. So Thwaites will be working with Franklin for this last quarter. Illich.
Nice long ball there. Janine looked for that long and straight into Thwaites. The direct route to the goal.
Ella's got a smile on her face. She just did not see that one coming, I think.
She was hunting out there for an intercept outside the goal circle, so she went hunting and missed it.
Bad Ellis hunting.
She doesn't miss too many.
No. Green. And possession is with Short. Wrestles it away from Strawn. Oh, this is a long-range shot. And there we go. You put me out of my misery. But she wasn't afraid to pull the trigger. She probably would have known she hadn't missed one, but you can't look after your stats at the expense of the team.
No, you've just got to make sure whatever you do, you want the win. So you can't worry about what's going on. You just got to make sure it counts, put the goals in to make sure your team wins.
Gerard, too quick. On to Green. Pratley. And Green has really tightened up her game, hasn't she, Eloise? A couple of loose passes, turnovers from her in the first quarter, but it's been a much better effort since.
It has, and I think she's just steadied. She's caught the ball, then she's balked it and faked a pass, and then put the ball in, not forcing it.
Well, she had 6 turnovers in the first quarter, but only another 5 since in a further 2 quarters, so that's a good indication.
So I think for next week she will be, and Julie, their coach for the Sydney Swifts, will be making sure she doesn't have 11 in a game.
Yeah, 11's too many, but you know, we're talking the first round here, aren't we? And a few loose passes were on the cards.
A lot, generally a lot. It's generally a bit of a scrappy match early on in the year.
The Swifts have got 41 turnovers actually. Oh, they're penalties, beg your pardon. 28. 28 to 24. Frightened somebody, mainly me. Green. Sutton.
Nice take there by Sutton, really strong.
Wilson.
Contact, centre, where you are, wing. Yes.
Contact against Kitchen. And Pratley misses one too. Oh, they've dropped all the way down to 89%. 40 from 45, the Swifts. As the pass at the head went through short. Strawn. Van Rensburg onto Franklin.
They're finding it very difficult, the Melbourne Kestrels, to get it through. It's a bit of a wall happening with the attackers coming up and putting pressure on the transverse line for the Swifts.
Thwaites drawn out of the circle to help out Franklin. Gerard retreats. Franklin this time. 5 from 10 for Franklin. Brown. And Thwaites. And Franklin. They're actually leading this quarter 3-1, the Kestrels. And in the last 10 minutes of the game, Eloise, fair to say, coaches are really looking for players to fight out a game to the end, no matter what the scoreboard might be saying.
Exactly. You've just got to keep persisting and keep pushing on. It's only the first match for the season, but even percentages-wise, it counts now. So for the end of the year, you're always thinking, I want the win, but B, I also want to make sure I work on, if you're losing the match, to make sure you keep the percentage difference as low as possible.
Kitchen off to Illich. Yeah, if you're playing in a position in the team where there's a bit of competition on for that spot, and you're in a match like this, impress the coach with the last 10 minutes, regardless of what the result might likely be.
And as we said, the Swifts are coming back with a lot of players, so those girls are wanting to make sure they finish off nicely and strong.
Thwaites. And she's 9 from 11. Green. Pratley was calling for it. Shord. Shord was just put the brakes on too quickly. She's got better treads than...
I think that was a bit of a Sherelle McMahon. That run in, stop.
Get hit.
Yeah, defender can't stop in time.
Van Rensburg. Help. Illich does that. Thwaites. Pretty good take on the sideline.
Bullet pass.
Caitlin Thwaites, of course, a pretty good volleyballer. And netball won the battle for her services.
Yeah, I think she really enjoyed the netball and the friendship she made in there, and I suppose she still does play volleyball, but obviously chose to play top-level netball instead of the volleyball.
And that's a top-level goal, that one, from Caitlin Thwaites. 6-2, they lead the last quarter, 8:30 to go, and they're down by 10. I don't know if they can make a game of it, but they might be able to make the Swifts feel a bit uncomfortable. Pratley.
I just think Kestrels have got to make sure that they finish strongly, put a bit of stamp on the game, and they're probably not going to be happy with their performance, but certainly finishing off strong will give it a positive.
Thwaites took another bullet pass from Illich. Brown. She's Thwaites. It's a replay.
A sloppy error there. Caitlin will be very disappointed in that. Great intercept there by Janine Illich. Terrific to take that, come through and read the play very well. Bianca Franklin shoots. And she's shooting quite well now. 8 from 13, a lot better. Monica Terrard takes the penalty there. And Kestrels are going in very hard. Uncharacteristic miss there by Susan Putley. She went to the post nice and confidently, but didn't follow through on with the fingers at the end of the shot.
Strawn. Oh, picked off by Gilson, and it was a little too easy, a bit casual there. Green. Again, maybe something you can enlighten me here, Eloise. At the end of a match in the first couple of rounds, the concentration levels to maintain it for 60 minutes is a little bit tough.
It certainly is. Yeah, it's really quite difficult to get out there. You train so hard. These girls are like athletes. They don't just train once a week. They train.
Athletes.
Well, they are. You know, like runners. They do the running. They do the weights. They do all that. Yeah. It's not just you rock up one night a week for training. They're full on, and it's hard because when you get in that match situation where you've got to concentrate, get your legs moving, take the ball, someone's got to shoot. You know, it's a lot of things happening at the one time, and it is a lot to concentrate for full 60 minutes and 15-minute quarters each time.
Kitchen.
Advantage upside wedge.
Thwaites.
Kestrels is just finding it very hard to get there into the circle, and
nearly a good job done there by Brown, but Ellis knew she was under pressure, put herself in the right position. Catch that if you can. Green had everything behind that, and that ended up in the bleachers.
She probably needs to just put a little bit of touch on that one. Could have got that through, and it's a bit tough to catch it on the end and a bit too tall.
Brown. Thwaites. Contact from Sutton, but Kitchen was up to it. Thwaites, another long-range effort.
Great defence there by Lizzie, jumping on the shot. Yeah. Again, I can't keep praising her enough. She's going to come and give me some money after this game, I think.
Well, we'll watch to see if the wallet's open. Yeah. Pratley to the corner looking for Green, and a good contest given by Van Rensburg.
A sloppy play out of defence. Transition-wise, I'm not too sure whether Kestrels really know where they're all running and what the plays are. So that concerns me early on. You've really got to know that you should go ball side, keep the ball. If you're on one side throwing in, keep it down there and make sure you stay ball side, bringing the ball down the court.
Kitchen into Thwaites. And the margin is 10 again. So an 8-4 margin, 8-4 quarter at least for the Kestrels. So something for Jane Searle to look at and be pleased about. But they've got away from them in the third. 16-7 the Swifts won the third quarter and 11-7 the second, after they were down by just the one at quarter time. Ellis, she read that early.
She read that well because both goalers were actually stuck in the goal circle then. They weren't on the move, so it didn't give her anything to think about. So if she knows you're there in court, she's going to come out hunting for balls, and that's what she did.
That was good Ellis hunting.
Not bad Ellis hunting.
Green had a good game. Well, and certainly an interesting one. It's been up and down a bit.
But she still had a good presence on court. She had made some nice drives, and I think she'll just work into this and make sure she doesn't have as many turnovers in the next couple of weeks.
Certainly far more positives than negatives for all the Swifts players today, I think. Yeah. Great thing about a match like this is if you can come away with a win and identify all the things that can improve your game, you go, well, that's a good result. We can get better, and we got the win.
Isn't it? That's the way to start off a season. Keep getting the wins, even when it's not pretty. pretty netball and keep going and building from there.
30 from 35 for Prattley. Ellis comes out again.
Girls have just got to, some Kestrels have got to watch that. You know Liz does that, so you've got to make sure you keep the ball away and don't lift it up.
7 rebounds, 6 intercepts for Liz Ellis. A stellar return. And Gerard, 5 intercepts, a couple of rebounds.
Nice goal there by Bianca Franklin, just finishing off well over Liz Ellis.
Short.
I have been impressed, Steve, by Maddie Brown, youngster from Victoria. I think she's playing on an Australian player there. And I think it's great that she's just stood up and had her first game out there in the tough stuff.
Swifts out by 12. So we're going to safely see this one home. And they've won their last 4 matches against the Kestrels. This is going to be 5 in a row. We have to go back to round 13 of 2003 for the last time the Kestrels have beat the Swifts. 48 to 40. Franklin to Brown. Thwaites against Sutton.
Back with her. Yes. Goal attack.
And one against disappointed Franklin.
Yep.
The Kestrels are going to have to work on that this week. Been a lot of turnovers from the goalers causing contact. They're going to have to look at the video and come up with why that is happening. Great intercept there.
Strawn never stopped trying, yeah.
And she's one of the co-captains this year, and that just goes with the territory. She never gives up.
Thwaites. She's going to finish with a pretty reasonable percentage. Not quite the volume she would have liked. 12 from 15.
Selena again, just doing a lot of the attacking down court at wing defence for the Swifts. Had a fantastic game.
Prattley. Just a bit short. Might have been a hand on the arm, but I think Prattley will be well satisfied with her game at the end of this. She's had a lot of responsibility to take in with Catherine Cox not playing. And injured her ankle quite early, but has come through it and has found a good partner in Leah Short. Thwaites tried to get it back to Franklin. Franklin maybe could have stepped forward, because certainly Gerard did. And that is the end of that. And the Swifts had a good battle on their hands, particularly in the first quarter. The Kestrels made a run or two at them late in the third and for parts of the fourth. But it wasn't in too much doubt once the Swifts had a 16-7 third quarter. So they win it 46 to 35. And Eloise, we might have a look at some stats just quickly.
Well, obviously, it was a brilliant game by the Sydney Swifts, and they, were leading in most areas on the field, including the penalties. I don't know if that's a good stat for them. They'll work on that for next week, but certainly rebounds, they were up. Turnovers, they had a few more than the Kestrels. Only 3 there, so not a big thing, but obviously the goaling percentage, the attempts were similar, but certainly the goaling percentage, 67% for the Kestrels and 85% for the Swifts. You can't win a game at 67%.
Well, Sam Dennis is with a very happy, I'm sure, Liz Ellis.
Hi guys, well, great win tonight. What were you most happy with?
I think for me personally, I was just happy with getting through the full game, but more importantly for the team, I was happy we stuck to our game plan. We don't have any tall timber in our front line. We're used to having someone tall like Catherine just to piff the ball into, but it was great that the team was able to grind the ball down court and just use our timing and the speed of the ball to get the ball in.
And how's the knee?
Yeah, pretty good. It held up okay. The very first move I made in the game was the exact move that I did my knee. So when I got to it, I thought, okay, I can do this. I felt a little bit slow and tired toward the end, but I thought that Monia and Selena had an awesome game out in front of me, and they protected it. They helped to protect me, so it was great, and I'm just rapt to be back.
So glad to see you out there. Good luck for the next week.
Thanks.
See you, Liz.
Coming up next on ABC2, more live netball as we head over to Perth for the match at Challenge Stadium between the Orioles and the Hunter Jaegers. Saturday on ABC TV, we'll have a highlight show which will include action from all 4 matches in round 1. Please check your local guides for the time in your state or territory. Next Friday night, the live netball continues on ABC2 with the Adelaide Thunderbirds taking to their home court for the first time this season against the Hunter Jaggers from 8 o'clock. And remember, every Saturday afternoon on ABC TV, Super Series Bowls at 5 and head-to-head, the quiz show for sports buffs at 6 o'clock. Enjoy your weekend. Stand by for more live netball on ABC2. I'm Steve Rebellion on behalf of Eloise Southby-Halbish and Sam Dennis. Goodbye.
Hello, Michelle Brady with ABC News. Sophie D'Alessio, the girl who suffered severe burns when a car crashed into her childcare centre, has been hit by a car today in Sydney's north. She was hit as she was being pushed in a stroller across a pedestrian crossing.
It's a perfect night in Perth for round one, with the home crowd expecting a turnaround in the fortunes of the Orioles as they chase a finals berth for the first time. The Orioles have recruited South African international Karen Venter to bolster the defence, while under the attacking post they'll boast some of the taller shooters going around. The visiting Hunter Jaggers, though, are not without tall timber as well. Jane Orschwager will be making her comeback after snapping an Achilles in round 12 last season.